Williamson, Inc. serves as Williamson County's Chamber of Commerce and Office of Economic Development. In partnership with the Williamson Herald, WBKM Radio, they brought together Meet the Candidates, an interview series open to all candidates for this office to help inform the community. During these conversations, candidates will share their views, and I may also share some of my own opinions as part of the discussion. Those opinions are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Williamson, Inc., the Williamson Herald, WBKM, or any organizations involved in hosting this series. You can find additional voter resources, including these interviews and written candidate profiles, at williamsonchamber.com/vote. David O'Neill has been a member of the Williamson County Commission for how long?
Since January of 2024, I believe.
So you're running for your second term?
Yes, sir.
So you filled an interim term, right?
I did.
You recently retired?
Yes, sir.
What did you do?
I spent almost 32 years in law enforcement. The last 28 or so with the Brentwood Police Department. I retired as the captain of the Criminal Investigation Division.
So you know another county commissioner by the name of Guy Carden?
I do know him very well. Think a lot of him.
You helped train him, didn't
you? Maybe a little bit, but he knew what he was doing pretty well.
Since you've been on the county commission, what's been the thing you've been most proud
of? I'm very happy about the fact that we are working towards getting the Sheriff's Department's pay in a better position. It seemed to be a little bit out of step, and so that was something that's important for me, because recruiting and retaining law enforcement officers, it's a hard job these days, and if you're not competitive with that pay, you're not going to get the best people, and the people of Williamson County deserve the best.
What's the biggest thing you see going forward that needs changing?
If I was going to focus on, I believe we do a lot of things right in Williamson County. So I'm not here to throw a lot of criticism, but to be good, you got to continue to evaluate. And I believe that, county government, we need to make sure that we're using updated technology, the best processes that are available, to be as efficient as possible, to not spend unnecessary money. It's very, very important to our citizens, our taxes and our how much money we're spending, and I'm a big believer in getting that right. I'm very fiscally conservative in my own life. I always have been, and I always was at the police department too. Even if I could spend somebody else's money, I don't want to do it unless we had to. And that's the same thing that I bring to the county commission.
Well, that's the attitude I have at home. I thought I would enjoy spending. I don't. Let's talk about some things that have faced just recently the county commission. When you first sat down in that chair, this was a compliment in that I believe you are the quietest county commissioner. And you came back at me and said, well, you need to see me in a committee meeting. What we see on camera or live is the voting session, and they're designed not to last all night. Sometimes it takes a while, but you rarely speak. But now you get to committee meetings, and that's where decisions are made, really, are in committee meetings. What committees do you serve on?
Right now, I'm on the Rules Committee and the Public Health Committee, but I have served on law enforcement, and I was on the Budget Committee last year as well, which was a very good eye-opener, and it gave me more insight into how the county budgeting works and what we're spending our money on.
You really haven't done the county commission thing until you've served on the Budget Committee.
I thought it was an honor to have been asked early on, and I did learn a lot.
What's your attitude toward debt?
I am not a fan. I don't like it in my. I don't have any in my personal life.
Good for you.
I worked very hard up. My house is paid for.
It took me 75 years, but I'm there with you.
Other than my bills that I have to pay that I can't get rid of.
Yes, sir.
I have my cars are paid for. My house is paid for. I just don't. I believe you save up. Now I know you can't do that in everything, and I know that you can't do that for everything for government, or we would never be getting anything built, like our schools and the things that really matter. But I'm not a fan, and I think that we need to do everything we can not to incur new debt and to pay off the debt that we do have.
We haven't had to build a school now 3 years, but there are things we're told we need. Jail. Commitment's been made. And part of that Triple J project stands for judiciary. That means a courthouse. Well, now we're in the process of determining whether we want a new courthouse, even though it appears to be that we need one. What say you? That's only $160, $170 million.
That is so hard for me to fathom, and I'm not trying to be critical of those that came before me, but we should have had a 40-year courthouse and not a 20-year courthouse. But you can't go back in the past, and so looking forward, I have personal experience. I spent a lot of time in that courthouse, not just as a police officer, but I'm also an attorney, and I was loaned to the district attorney's office for at least 10 years, and I prosecuted on a part-time basis. And so I spent a lot of time in those courtrooms as an attorney, a prosecutor in those back rooms, and it was just never big enough or set up the right way to begin with. And I've been around long enough that I didn't prosecute, but I was in court a lot in the historic courthouse. And so there was definitely improvements on certain things going into the courthouse that's there now, but you have victims of serious crimes that have to get mixed in sometimes with the suspects or the defendants and their family members, and it's just not set up. There's the judges' personnel are working in the hallways. They don't have offices. It's just not even close to being optimal. They're making it work, but the security for the judges, they walk right from the open parking lot into the courthouse, and it's just it doesn't follow current safety recommendations. And of course, it's built in, I think, 2004 or finished in 2004. And
22 years. Of course, that was about when the explosive growth started, and it hadn't let up since. So I kind of cut those folks back in there some slack, but you're right, it goes to the point, not just planning, long range planning for something that'll last 50, 60 years or more.
Right.
Got to ask you the hospital question. You're not on the hospital board, are you?
No, sir.
Okay. Some folks say it's worth $1 billion. Dollars and cents say it's worth $1 billion. It's emotional. It's our hospital. We built it. We're paying for it. It's not paid for yet, but we're paying for it. Would you rather have $1 billion or our own hospital?
I think it's a jewel of the county. I don't know that I personally would just make the decision if I was the one that had sole decision-making authority to sell it, because there's more value sometimes than even dollars on things. But have enough information yet, and I'm awaiting that information. I want to have every detail that I can have when the time comes for us to make that decision, because I'm not sure that selling the hospital is in the best interest of Williamson County. I'm not sure that it's not. So if we're going to have some people that are experts that are going to help give us some good information, and then it's our job to decide whether we believe those experts and what we think as the elected representatives to make the right decision for the citizens on that.
Williamson Countyans have broken the way in various things. One that I'll be eternally grateful for, there was a school shooting up in Connecticut, and that really got to Rogers Anderson. The very next day, he said, we need a law enforcement presence in every school, not just every county school, every city school, and I think he meant private schools too. Well, now SROs are in the county schools, they're in the city schools. His first time in Tennessee was right here in Williamson County. What other things should we be looking at? Pretty easy to make that decision the day after 17 kids died in a shooting up in Connecticut. There, but for the grace of God, it could happen here. It kind of has happened here. Not as that big a scale, but what other things like that when it comes to safety and quality of life should we be looking at? In the scheme of things, that doesn't cost a whole lot of money, but it sure makes people feel better.
I'm a big supporter of the SROs in the schools. Luckily, I'm not sure how many people know this, but not all but the state picks up a good portion of that tab. And I expect and hope that that's going to continue. They don't pick up all of it, but they pick up a good portion of it by statewide grants across the whole state. I think that we should always be looking at ways to keep our kids safe. There's other things that I'm aware of. I'm always a little bit hesitant to talk about them because some of them need to remain a little bit secret, so people can't figure out ways to go around them. And that's not to try to keep things from people, it's just for the safety of the kids. But there are other things that the schools can do and are doing that I'm privy to through my time in law enforcement to harden up. But there's always a balance. You can't turn it into a prison, but there's a lot of things that can be done. And some things don't really cost that much, like locking all the doors and things like that. And and they are doing that. They've got a good person that is the safety coordinator over at the school system. I think Mike Fletcher. And he does a really good job working with the law enforcement agencies, and that there are many hours spent on training and planning and to respond to those incidents that are going on with all the law enforcement agencies. I've been a part of that. And so we need to continue doing that and investing in that and investing in our schools, not for the safety and for education.
We see the Franklin Board of Mayor and Aldermen doing this, and perhaps the Williamson County Commission should do this, should consider. BOMA does this. Comes to dealing with TDOT, with the Tennessee Department of Transportation. It's hard to get in their pocket. So the city of Franklin volunteers will pay for some of this project if you'll just commit to it. That's worked a couple of times. Should Williamson County be willing to come off their hip pocket and say, come on, TDOT, we'll help you.
I think that investing in infrastructure is really important, because a lot of times I see the roads and things like that growing last, but done in the right way, and we do it now where there's some shared costs and things like that, and I'm a big fan of working on getting money back from the state, because we pay a lot of taxes and a lot of money into the state comparatively to the rest of the state.
Sometimes the state looks at us kind of differently than they look at Murray County or even Davidson County, for that matter. All those Williamson Countyans, they can afford to do it themselves, and they let us. Look into that camera and take about 15 seconds and tell folks why they need to vote for David O'Neill.
Well, I was in law enforcement for 30 plus years. I'm a licensed attorney. I went to law school at night to become an attorney. I've taught law. I've helped develop policy and procedure and manage budgets for a government entity. I'm going to be your watchdog on the budget and making sure that we're spending our money wisely. And having all that experience has helped me to be able to understand how government works, and different policies affect the working people of Williamson County. And my number one goal is to keep Williamson County like it is, very nice, and the quality of life very high.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Paul Webb has been a county commissioner for a long time. He's been mayor of Brentwood. That means he also served as a Brentwood City Commissioner. I think by trade he's an accountant. Is that right, Paul Webb?
Yes, I'm a CPA.
Let's see here. You are running for re-election in the 7th District.
6th.
I'm sorry. That's Brentwood, isn't it?
Both 6 and 7 are Brentwood.
Get specific about where the 6th District is. What you're most proud of, and you're running for your 3rd term, or your 3rd term, isn't it?
This would be, I first was elected in 2014, and so this would be the 4th term.
Okay.
And so if you look at I-65, it splits, and basically District 6 runs I-65 to the east, primarily south of Concord Road to Moores Lane in general, all the way over to near the Knowlesville city limits. It does a little L-shaped thing, comes back up to the county line up Edmondson Pike.
Being a county commissioner in 2026 is considerably different than 2014.
Some of the issues are very much the same. I mean, we're always dealing with the budget, dealing with how to fund it, and what we do with, do we raise taxes, do we issue debt, do we cut somewhere? So those issues never go away. They're always the same.
What do you do for a living? You haven't retired on me, have you?
I retired, but then I came back to work.
You're kind of a special projects guy for Williamson County. You took, in fact, you probably still have some left over.
Yes.
COVID funds, and it was your job to assign those COVID funds.
Well, to be detailed, it's the American Recovery Plan Act passed in 2021, and I was in watching that as it passed through, knowing the county would get the money, and having retired, I applied for the job to run that, knowing it was a temporary job because I didn't want to have anything permanent, and that I knew how to handle that. And so I helped the mayor and the staff vet the projects, over $100 million of asks, if you will, and we pulled that down to the $46 million that was actually granted under the plan, which came directly to the county. And so as a CPA, I worked on, I applied like everyone else and was hired to do this with the approval of the county commission, including the compensation. So this is all above board. And so I've been doing that since late 2021. And we do still have projects that it has to be completed by 12/31 this year. And the final report goes in January of 27. And then I'm done with that. And so, but we have 3 or 4 projects that are still ongoing. They were trying to nudge them across the line. And then we added on some state projects from the Department of Conservation using their ARPA money to help us with fresh and wastewater. And so we participated through the county and TDEC in the new Millcrofton and HBTS water storage tanks to help the growth of fresh water, working with Mowry Valley, same thing, and also with the Harpeth Wastewater to improve their system over there in the Grassland area.
You're in a unique position in your experience. You've been Brentwood City Commissioner, you've been Mayor of Brentwood, you've been County Commissioner. Have you chaired the Budget Committee yet?
Multiple times.
Multiple times. So you're familiar with relationships between municipalities and the county.
Yes.
Always communicated.
Yes.
Sometimes kind of vociferously.
Yes.
But it gets done.
Yes.
Urban growth boundary.
Yes.
County made a decision, passed a resolution. Now the municipalities are responding to that resolution.
Yes.
What can the county do to mitigate how the municipalities are reacting to this? And does the county made a deal a couple of years ago with those municipalities?
Yes.
By state law. What's different now than it was 2 years ago?
You know, I think anytime someone faces a change in their community, and I'm the same way. I mean, change is hard. And so we're seeing change, and I respect those that want to keep their way of life. At the same time, I respect the property owners that want to do something with their property. And so the UGB plans was supposed to help everyone see where the cities were going to expand. Now, in my district, there's a little sliver between Brentwood and Nolensville, on the west side, around Old Hickory Boulevard and Hillsborough Road. Not a lot in Brentwood. However, Brentwood signed on to that because we like the idea, if we were going to extend a road or a sewer area, we want to know that eventually that would be within our city limits. There's no incentive not to do that. I voted against the resolution that came before us because in my work with the Tennessee County Commissioners Association statewide, I've had a lot of conversations with other commissioners from around the state and their state representatives, and they are pro-growth. And my concern is that if we open this up at the state level, we could be worse off for it. They could remove some of those restrictions of the UGB, and we have had this narrow line. For an example, you annex the road for 2 miles to get a 100-acre property. We don't want that. And what we've got with the UGB is we brought the community together, the elected officials and the community, and said, listen, we're listening and we're going to work something out. And it was a lot of compromise. And we finally got all the 6 cities in the county and the county to agree to this plan. Our cities, I understand why the cities are against it. Brentwood was against it. And representing my district is entirely within the city of Brentwood. It's representative government. I'm going to represent what my citizens want me to do. And so in this case, it was pretty adamant this is not in Brentwood's best interest. And so we'll see what the state does. You know, if they get into it, then I hope I'm wrong, that they don't mess it up. But I'm concerned when the state or federal legislators get involved, we run that risk.
Jack Johnson was asked recently, are you going to, whose resolution are you going to introduce? And he said, it doesn't make any difference. He said, I can introduce anything, but I can't pass this. So
I had not heard that, but obviously the city organizations will be at the same time talking to Senator Johnson and all the other 132 members of the state legislature on what they feel is in their best interest. That's the system.
Instead of talking to state legislators, why aren't everybody's talking to themselves, to each other.
Well, that's if my comments or meetings is I believe that we can get together and work this out amongst ourselves. Let's get around the table and solve our local problems locally. Let's not kick this to the state or federal government. At the end of the day, whatever the state legislature does, I think it will come back to us to deal with. Whether they handle it or not, it's still going to come back to the city and county leaders to figure out what we're going to do.
What's your attitude toward the county's debt?
From a business perspective, if you're in a growing community, we had options. You either borrow the money or raise the taxes, or in case of schools, you pack portables on campus and put 40 kids to a classroom. I was never for that. And I think the people that have just moved in and enjoy the fruits of these schools don't realize we had to pay for them. And we only do 20 years. We refinance when possible, just did some refinancing. And so a debt is a business tool that any business that's growing uses as part of their plan. You don't overdo it. And I keep in mind of this number that you hear, 16% of the debt is the hospital. And the hospital is a thriving entity, and they will pay that back. So 16% of it is there, and 57 some odd percent is for school and school-related properties. In my district and neighbor, my granddaughter goes to Brentwood Middle. Beautiful new building. Her dad and uncles graduated from the old Brentwood Middle, Brentwood High. And so I look at that campus with Brentwood Middle. I know it's got debt on it, but it's a beautiful campus, serves the children well. The STEM building, which the city of Brentwood participated in, is also a beautiful facility that keeps our schools at the top of the heap. And Tom, you know, our public schools in Williamson County, when you look at the list, they're up there with those private schools. The top public schools in Williamson County are competing with the top private schools around the state. And we compete well. And we take every child that wants to attend that's a Williamson County resident. We do not select certain ones. It's the public school system for the county. And on that, just to go off, my frustration is, and we've had a resolution on that, and some county commission members have even sued, which I don't agree with suing. But Franklin Special School District and Williamson County pay the highest of our local tax dollars to educate our children. The Constitution of the state says it's the state's responsibility. And when we're paying 60 to 70% local dollars of every dollar spent on education, where some counties are spending 10 to 11%, that's not right. So Tom, everybody needs to know, if I go buy something here, every dollar gets 7 cents taxed on it. They go straight to the state of Tennessee. And then they spread that out. I'm all about being benevolent. But because we have managed things well and we have a higher income level than other places, that doesn't mean they ought to abandon us.
We have a higher income because we manage things well.
Yes, I agree.
You change that, the result might not be the same.
If we mismanage things, we could have trouble.
Talk about the hospital, because I don't think we're far enough along into the procedure where I think there's a large part of Williamson County who are loyal and want a community hospital. Not a corporate one, our community hospital. You and I, Mike, could remember the day we didn't have one. And we have one with considerable pride. Pride. That's a big part of living in Williamson County.
Mm-hmm.
Pride in a thing called the Williamson County Fair.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way back for you that pays tribute to agriculture.
Yes.
We used to be an agricultural county. There's more agriculture here than people think.
Yes.
But the whole county enjoys that fair culture.
Yes.
How do we keep that culture, and at the same time, I understand we're going to have 400,000 people here in the next 16, 17 months?
Not months. I don't think we'll hit that. The numbers I see, and the folks here at the chamber may have better information. Last I saw, we've kind of pull back a little bit. Rutherford and Wilson are growing faster than we are, and Montgomery especially. And we're not complaining, by the way.
Wonderful. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
And so, but we're right at 300,000 now, and it wouldn't be beyond my scope to see that in 10 years we would 350 to 400,000, depending on what happens in the other counties in the state. But we do have a culture issue, and I'm chair of the Williamson County Fair. It's going to be a great event. First weekend in August. Let me get that plug in.
From 2014 to 2030, what are you most proud of? What do you want to accomplish? You got 30 seconds to answer.
One of the things I'm most proud of, and Commissioner Todd Kessler was instrumental in that, and I support him in that. We did the Educational Impact Fee Task Force. I'm still on that task force. And to get that in, and so that when you build something here, build a house here, we're going to collect a fee to help build the schools, and only to build the schools, not maintain them. And so that's the accomplishment I got. The other part is looking at, we've maintained our AAA bond rating. We've improved the services. Quality of life is a big deal. Williams County's got a great quality of life. It's why people want to live here. And part of the reason housing is so expensive. People are begging to get in. And so the idea that we can do that when other counties are losing population and losing growth is an attribute to not so much what I've done, but what I've been a part of.
We're out of time. I wanted to ask you why you didn't run for mayor, but I'm sorry, we don't have time for that question.
Okay.